Hare Krishna everyone, so welcome back to the reading of Teachings of Queen Kunti by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And this is Shravanam Diaries podcast. I'm your host Sulalita Devidasi, and we are continuing to read chapter number 6, The Master of the Senses. So, in this material world, everyone is generally using his senses for sense gratification. That is Maya, illusion, and that is the cause of one's bondage. But when one comes to Kṛṣṇa consciousness, when one becomes purified and understands that these senses are actually meant for satisfying Kṛṣṇa, then he is a liberated person, Mukta Purusha. Iha yasya harirdasye karmana manasa gira nikila svapyavastasu jivan mukta sa uchyate. Quote, a person who acts in the service of Kṛṣṇa with his body, mind and intelligence and words is a liberated person, even within this material world. One should come to understand, my senses are meant to serve the master of the senses, Hrishikesha. The master of the senses is sitting within everyone's heart. In the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, the Lord says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto, I am seated in everyone's heart. Matah smritir jnanam apohanam cha, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Unquote. Kṛṣṇa is so merciful that if we want to use our senses in a certain way, He will give us the chance to do so. The senses are not ours, they are Kṛṣṇa's. But Kṛṣṇa gives us the opportunity to use them according to our desires. For example, each of us has a tongue, and suppose we want to eat stool. We may say, Kṛṣṇa, I want to taste stool. And Kṛṣṇa will say, yes, take this body of a hog and eat stool. The Master is present, Kṛṣṇa. He will give us an appropriate body and remind us, my dear living entity, you wanted to eat stool. Now you have the proper body in which to do so. Similarly, if one wants to become a demigod, Kṛṣṇa will give one a chance to do so. There are 8,400,000 forms of life. And if one wants to engage one's senses in a particular type of body, Kṛṣṇa will give one the chance. Come on, here is the body you want, take it. But eventually, one will become exasperated by using one's senses. Ultimately, one will become senseless. Therefore, Kṛṣṇa says, Sarva dharman parityajya, mam ekam sharanam vraja. Quote, don't act like this. Your senses are meant for serving me. You are misusing your senses and are therefore being entrapped in different types of bodies. Therefore, to get relief from this tedious business of accepting one body and then giving it up, to accept another and again another in continued material existence, just give up this process of sense gratification and surrender unto me. Then you will be saved. Unquote. This is Kṛṣṇa consciousness. At the present moment, our senses are contaminated. I'm thinking, I am American, so my senses should be used for the service of my country, my society, my nation, Or else I'm thinking, I'm Indian, and my senses are Indian senses, and therefore they should be used for India. In ignorance, one does not know that the senses belong to Kṛṣṇa. Instead, one thinks that one has American senses, Indian senses, or African senses. This is called Maya, illusion. In material life, the senses are covered by designations such as American, Indian, and African. But when our senses are no longer contaminated by all these designations, sarvapadhi vinirmuktam, Bhakti begins. To think, I am an American, why shall I take to Kṛṣṇa consciousness and worship a Hindu god, is foolishness. If one thinks, I am a Mohammedan, I am Christian, I am a Hindu, one is an illusion. One must purify the senses so that one can understand. I am a spirit soul, and the supreme spirit soul is Kṛṣṇa. I am part and parcel of Kṛṣṇa, and therefore it is my duty to serve Kṛṣṇa. When one thinks in this way, one immediately becomes free. At that time, one is no longer American, Indian, African, this or that. At that time, one is Kṛṣṇaized, or Kṛṣṇa conscious. That is what is wanted. Therefore, Kunti Devi says, my dear Kṛṣṇa, Hrishikesha, you are the master of the senses. For sense gratification, we have fallen into this material condition and are suffering in different varieties of life. Because this is the material world, even Kṛṣṇa's mother was put into suffering. Devaki was so advanced that she became the mother of Kṛṣṇa. But still she was put into difficulties by her own brother, Kamsa. That is the nature of this material world. The living entities in this world are so jealous that if one's personal interest is hampered, one will immediately be ready to give trouble to others, even to one's nearest relatives. The word khala means jealous. This material world is a world of jealousy and envy. I am envious of you, and you are envious of me. The Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement, however, is meant for one who is no longer jealous or envious. By becoming free from jealousy and envy, one becomes a perfect person. Dharmaḥ projjhita-kaitavo paramo nirmatsarāṇāṁ satām. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhāgavatam 1.1.2. Those who are jealous and envious are within this material world, and those who are not are in the spiritual world. Therefore, we can test ourselves. If we are jealous or envious of our friends or other associates, we are in the material world. And if we are not jealous, we are in the spiritual world. There need be no doubt of whether we are spiritually advanced or not. We can test ourselves. Bhaktiḥ pareśānubhavo viraktir anyatra. Srimad Bhāgavatam 11.2.42. When we eat, we can understand for ourselves whether our hunger is satisfied. We don't have to take a certificate from others. Similarly, we can test for ourselves whether we are in the material world or the spiritual world. If we are jealous or envious, we are in the material world, and if we are not, we are in the spiritual world. If one is not jealous, one can serve Kṛṣṇa very well, because jealousy and envy begin with being jealous of Kṛṣṇa. For example, some philosophers think, why should Kṛṣṇa be God? I am also God. This is the beginning of material life, to be envious of Kṛṣṇa. Why should Kṛṣṇa be the enjoyer? They think. I shall also be the enjoyer. Why should Kṛṣṇa enjoy the gopis? I shall become Kṛṣṇa and make a society of gopis and enjoy. This is Maya. No one but Kṛṣṇa can be the enjoyer. Kṛṣṇa therefore says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram yagya, I am the only enjoyer. If we supply ingredients for Kṛṣṇa's enjoyment, we attain the perfection of life. But if we want to imitate Kṛṣṇa thinking, I shall become God and enjoy like him, then we are in Maya. Our natural position is to provide enjoyment for Kṛṣṇa. In the spiritual world, for example, Kṛṣṇa enjoys, and the gopis, the transcendental cowherd girls, supply the ingredients for Kṛṣṇa's enjoyment. This is Bhakti. Bhakti is a relationship between master and servant. The servant's duty is to serve the master, and the master supplies whatever the servant needs. Nityo nityanam chetanash chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. Katha Upanishad 2.2.13. The Vedic literature informs us that Kṛṣṇa can supply all the necessities for one's life. There is no scarcity and no economic problem. We simply have to try to serve Kṛṣṇa, and then everything will be complete. If Kṛṣṇa desires, there may be ample supplies. In America, for example, there is an amply supply of everything needed, although in other countries that is not so. For instance, when I went to Switzerland, I saw that everything there is imported. The only thing supplied locally is snow. This is all under Kṛṣṇa's control. The only thing, if one becomes a devotee, one will be amply supplied with food, and if one does not become a devotee, one will be covered with snow. Everything is under Kṛṣṇa's control, so actually there is no scarcity. The only scarcity is a scarcity of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Haribol. Of course, the world is full of dangers, but Kunti Devi says, because Devaki is your devotee, you saved her from the distresses imposed upon her by her envious brother. As soon as Devaki's brother heard that his sister's 8th son would kill him, he was immediately ready to kill Devaki. But Devaki's husband pacified him. It is the duty of a husband to protect his wife, and therefore Devaki's husband said, "My dear brother-in-law, why are you envious of your sister? After all, your sister will not kill you. It is her son who will kill you. That is the problem. So I shall deliver all the sons to you, and then you may do whatever you like with them. Why should you kill this innocent, newly married girl? She is your younger sister, and you should protect her. just as you would protect your daughter. Why should you kill her?" In this way, he pleaded Kamsa, who believed Vasudeva's word that he would bring all the sons so that if Kamsa wanted, he would kill them. Vasudeva thought, "Let me save the present situation. After all, if Kamsa later gets a nephew, he may forget his envy." But Kamsa never forgot. Instead, he kept Devaki and Vasudeva in prison for a long time, Atichiram, and killed all their sons. Finally, Kṛṣṇa appeared and saved Vasudeva and Devaki. Therefore, we must depend on Kṛṣṇa, like Devaki and Kunti. After Kunti became a widow, the envious Dhritarashtra was always planning ways to kill her sons, the 5 Pandavas. "Because by chance I was born blind," he thought, "I could not inherit the throne of the kingdom, and instead it went to my younger brother. Now he is dead, so at least my sons should get the throne." This is the materialistic propensity. One thinks, "I shall be happy, my sons will be happy, my community will be happy, my nation will be happy." This is extended selfishness. No one is thinking of Kṛṣṇa and how Kṛṣṇa will be happy. Rather, everyone is thinking in terms of his own happiness. How shall I be happy? How will my children, my community, my society, and my nation be happy? Everywhere we shall find this. Everyone is struggling for existence, not thinking of how Kṛṣṇa will be happy. Kṛṣṇa consciousness is very sublime. We should try to understand it from Srimad Bhāgavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and try to engage our senses for the service of the Master of the senses, Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam. Then we shall actually be happy. Haribol! We have completed chapter 6. Tomorrow we shall begin chapter 7 by Krishna's grace. It's called Dangerous Encounters. Jai. So, thank you so much for tuning in today. The link to this book is in the description, and we shall see you next time, hopefully. Hare Krishna.